All right, all right. Welcome to episode 7 of the HipPodHedz podcast. I'm your co-host, No Sage, and as always, I got my other comrade, Novak, and he's going to introduce our guest. It's going to be a very special episode today. It's only fitting that the last episode, me and Novak were talking about the Wu-Tang Clan, and now into arguably the current Wu-Tang of this generation. Probably more on that later. But Novak, you want to take us away?
Everybody, I'm going to start off by saying we got some very special guests today. We got a great actor here. We got a guy that manages hip hop artists. We got a very diverse field here right now. The first person we're introduce is Bradford Lund. He currently right now works as a higher education administrator for a very prestigious university in the United States. He also has a history of being an actor. He worked in theater, very accomplished there. He has a fondness of shoe collections like I do. I just found that out before we started talking. I really like that about him. We're gonna do some shoe business. Uh, and also he's a Griselda expert, and that's a lot of Griselda experts in this country. A lot of people are popping up. They love what the guys are doing and everything, and he is here today to talk about his love of Griselda. So everybody, welcome Bradford Lund to the show.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, awesome. And our second guest here, this man here, man, we go back to like the days of when we didn't have the money for the shoes. So this is when someone got a pair of shoes. We're happy he got a pair of shoes. Uh, this guest's name is Rashad Chamberlain. He's an IT professional. He works for an IT company here in the Chicagoland area. He also is the manager of several hip hop artists, notably Vale the General, who has a few albums under his belt. Vale is a very established Chicago MC. His style is awesome. And Rashad basically and I, we've been trading hip hop conversations since the days of Iowa headphones and CD players. That just pretty much dates us at this point. I mean, we've been going back and forth with music for years. He's also the person I call upon when I need to understand what's going on in hip hop. So everybody, welcome Rashad Chamberlain to the show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I used to carry all my blank CDs in my book bag instead of my books. So yeah, we used to go back and forth on who had the best mixtape.
That's true. He also tries to spit sometimes. If you get him drunk, he'll start rapping, man.
That's a fact.
And breakdancing.
That's also a fact.
Damn, blank CDs. So how are we burning joints on the CDs? Like, how are we actually
Oh man, we were
taking me back?
so so we had a burner
Right?
in DePaul. We got it through illegal means probably.
Oh,
But we got the burner and it was a 4 disc burner and everyone would like handcraft their own joints. So
yeah.
uh like, we I had a roommate, Nehemiah. He would download, we had Napster, so you would just pick your playlist, hit download, and then go to class because it took forever to get those songs down there. So you would just craft your playlist by hand and then download those songs and then leave for the day, come back, they're ready, make your little CD. And then you would select names. Like your names had to be official. Like I think I had like a series called what was it, like Uncontrollable Hits or something,
Oh
volume one,
man, there it is.
volume two, and volume three. It was heavily tribe influence,
Yes, sir.
and then we went from tribe to Wu to it was all over the place. Mob Deep, and man, it's been hip hop for a very, very long time.
Wow, you taking me back. I mean, I was like hitting up LimeWire like it was nobody's business. But
Ooh.
yo, like
Pirate.
we were just talking about like how privileged a lot of these college cats got it nowadays, and you just definitely took it back to the tools that you had to lean on.
Oh man,
Yeah.
this was before SoundCloud. You couldn't upload anything before any of that. Somebody would have the song and I remember getting Nas's Stillmatic like 2 weeks before it dropped, and every burned copy of Stillmatic I heard, the Got Yourself a Gun had a dog in the background barking. You never found a clean copy, and it was all like woof woof woof. I'm like, yo, what is that real? Did he record a dog with him? And when I heard the clean copy, I was like, where's the dog? And everybody in the vehicle was like, yo, there's a dog on this track. There's supposed to be a dog. I remember a dog being it's like, no, it was the bootleg copy that we had. It was amazing.
Yeah, I was ripping BitTorrents off of Pirate Bay, and I would get weird versions of songs, like, not like demos, or I got a weird copy of Stankonia before it dropped that was missing a bunch of layers. I still have it on this old iPod of mine where it's like all BitTorrent music, but I was too nostalgic to throw it away. So I've got this one hookup at home I can still use for that iPod, and whip out some random stuff. It's good times.
Yeah, it definitely brings back some memories, man. I remember like the first time we burnt the CD. I remember that shot. I remember Nehad and his Nas collection.
Ooh.
Oh god, this guy burnt every Nas song he could find into like 12 different CDs. He carried around, and he'll bring out a Nas CD, and we're looking at him like, dude, that CD's not even that good. It's Nas. It's always that good.
Before I think before Nas's Lost Tapes came out, he had every song that Nas put on Lost Tapes. He had it years ago. The music, it was weird. Like, he had Nas like just recording. He was like, "Yeah, man, it's probably one of the illest songs he got." And I was like, "It's not a song. It's no beat."
And that's how I got my whole MF Doom collection, was off of Pirate Bay. I mean, I wouldn't have discovered half the things in that dude's catalog had I not been into,
I remember going to a MF Doom concert. It was MF Doom and Mos Def.
Yep.
And Mos Def opened up. Yes.
Congress? Bro,
yes.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going with it.
Mos Def, first of all, came out. He had like some slacks, and he wasn't doing any of Black on Both Sides.
Nope.
And he was doing this whole Chuck Berry routine, and it was just all weird. Then what was supposed to be MF Doom came out, and people thought it was Doom. But we found out that it wasn't Doom, and it went crazy.
He's been accused of having the imposter Doom at a bunch of his shows.
Yeah, man.
I would feel so betrayed. I would feel so betrayed if that were me. That's such a weird thing, though, because on the surface, I'm like, holy, you saw Mos Def and MF Doom together. That had to have been the best show, and just weird random time, it sounds like.
Absolutely the worst. One of the worst shows I've ever been to.
So that's where Kanye gets inspiration from. Kanye's done that a few shows. Showed up.
It was so bad. So bad.
I was at that show too, Rashad, and I was actually on the second floor out of projectile distance. So I was like at the cool, like pretend VIP lounge, even though it was like a crusty ass couch that you just snuck in. Like
exactly
on the scene of like Walking Dead or some shit. But basically, I think the Ecstatic came out at that time. And you forgot another part of the story, because one, I didn't know that MF was known for that type of stuff. But two, Mos Def was very weird when he was transitioning. He was saying some weird stuff like, "Oh ye of little faith, you don't think that MF is actually going to show up?" So he was like pumping up the crowd, like making him believe he was going to be there or something like that.
Then the first thing, when Doom's song came out, Mos Def had the Doom mask on, and he was rhyming some of Doom's songs. At first it was cool, like, oh, Mos is doing Doom. Oh, okay. And then it was like, wait, where's Doom? And then this Doom Light character came on, and he was like, from the first song, Will Doom Hands was like, that's not him. And then the bottles just start coming.
Oh my God. So would that been after the Food album came out? because I know that Most Def has been a fan of Doom for a long time. So
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it is after that album came out. Most was doing his very best to try to keep the crowd under control, but
Yeah.
it just went crazy.
Yeah,
I
he
know
was.
we're
Yeah.
not here to talk about Most Def, but I
No,
love
but yeah.
I love Black Star so much. I'm still playing it like it just came out.
Oh man, that's an amazing CD.
It's not that I can't move on to newer things, but I just replay old stuff all the time. I mean,
I get in the habit of replaying old stuff all the time, but one thing that really like damaged me from Black Star is Talib's. So I don't know. You know the guy, the actor off of what was it? Carter or something with Samuel L. Jackson was the basketball coach.
Oh, Coach Carter.
Coach Carter, yeah. So the Latin co-star with the puffy hair.
Yeah.
So I worked with his sister-in-law.
Okay.
So we're hanging out in the club, and Talib is there at the club, and he's approaching him, and Talib is really like, talking about getting into this acting thing and how he really wants to start acting and start taking serious roles, and how Most inspired him to be an actor, and this and that, and I think his name's like Gonzalez or something. So he's telling him like how he wants to rhyme. He's like, yo, I really love, what you're doing. Your music is so inspirational. Talib looks at him and goes, man, that hip hop stuff is whack. I'm trying to get where the money's at. And I said, oh my God.
Oh, stop.
what?
Yeah, and I looked at him like,
Oh, I'm so sorry that I heard this story right now.
I look, you know how like the little kid looks at like Mean Joe Green, like, do it for Mean Joe. I just looked at Talib, I was like, don't say those words. Don't do this, sir. And he was like, yeah, man, I'm trying to get where that money at. I'm trying to bust into this acting world. We just all looking at him really weird, like, what is going on with you?
That's not the train of thought
Yeah,
that we know. That's not.
I shot a lyric at him. I was like, rhyming for the loot, you a prostitute? That was you? You said that?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, thanks for reciting my rhymes. I was like, oh, okay.
He played this pop-up show at Martyrs a handful of years back. Did you guys know about this? It was like he was guest spotting on some jazz musician's show. It was like this last minute announcement. I don't know. I used to live right around the corner from Martyrs and was walking by and saw his name on the marquee randomly. I'm trying to remember what that show was. Sorry, I'm looking this up.
Nowadays, he just argues on Twitter a lot with
All
anybody.
day.
Twitter,
He is so close to getting canceled on Twitter. It's every day Talib Kweli is arguing with somebody, and I'm like, stop, don't do it. Make music, stop arguing.
He argues on Instagram, which is,
bruh. I mean,
you're not supposed to. Yeah, what the hell? It's just supposed to be for pictures mostly, right?
yeah, dude. Like, why are you arguing? But they're like, they find him and then they just go on him, and it's a bad thing for Talib.
They trigger him every time they get a chance to.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to like continue that conversation because we could probably talk forever on it, but I do want to tie a connective string there because like Bradford, you're talking about Outkast, and it also makes me think about like the big boy, like dilemma, right? When you're in the shadow of like an awesome MC, an awesome actor, an awesome artist, and then you constantly compare yourself to them, so like most like acting anything just came like natural, or it seemed like it came natural to him, and we never got another Black Star album either, you know what I mean? So
and
they
some people
tease
can
it.
just make that transition naturally, they're more, I don't know, they don't have to force the circle through the square. Like some people are just made for that. Like it was hard for, like Outkast had a pretty specific goal. Like they wanted to be on the big screen from the very beginning. Like they had, that's one reason I love them so much. But we're not here to talk about Outkast. Sorry, I don't mean to derail the conversation.
No, it's dope. It's dope. So actually, Bradford, I also wanted to continue a train of thought here. No Talib pun here, but you're the one who actually told me about Griselda. I had no clue who they were. And when you're talking about like you downloading, stuff to find out what MF Doom was, you're the type of word cat that I can rely on to kind of like give me the hip hop news, just like Novak was talking about Rashad. So I think when we were talking about it, you actually you actually approached me like, okay, maybe I could talk hip hop with this guy because I think we both performed at like a work talent show, and I did kind of like a rap song, and then I think days after that, okay, I could probably talk hip hop to this guy.
Yeah, I can't talk to many people at work, so I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that about you. Like no one cares. No one wants to talk. So yeah, no, that was a good find. And this guy I've been sharing and trading music with for 10 years. Turned me on to Griselda. And it was a random find for me. And it was like a rabbit hole. They have so many mixtapes and
Yeah.
so much content that they've put out, especially recently. It was really easy to dive into. I definitely don't consider myself any kind of an expert, but definitely an enthusiast. And I guess the music has come to mean something for me because not everything I listen to like moves me or transports me somewhere. And I feel like specifically when I listen to Conway or Benny, like I feel like they're transporting me somewhere. And there's just like so much stuff out there right now, and it can even be good, but it doesn't take me somewhere. It doesn't make me feel something. I know this is all like very subjective experience, but that's how I've like received them, in the past like year and a half, 2 years. I'm not as big of a fan of West Side Gun. I like don't, I for whatever reason, like I don't like his rap style in the way that I like have to rewind Benny or Conway to like catch what they said because it was so good or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I'm forgetting what the original question was.
No,
Okay.
I mean, I'm glad you're riffing off that. I mean, we definitely wanted to talk Griselda. I think it's interesting that you bring up Conway, because isn't he? Oh, I'm sorry, West Side. He's basically the mastermind, right, behind it all.
Yeah, right. So yeah, he like laid the foundation, right? So I I have a hard time listening to him without thinking of Ghostface, and I don't know. I just don't feel like lyrically it's as meaningful as I feel like the depths where Conway or Benny are reaching. Like I can feel Conway's trauma when he raps. Like
Yes.
I feel like I feel like physical and mental trauma like have an effect on people, and you either like get sunk on it or you rise above it. And like it's something that's obviously like moved Conway and like fueled his whole life. So to see someone take personal trauma and then make show it for everybody to see, like put it at the very front of what he's doing, it's like I don't know, it's refreshing, and it's like really grimy and real and everything that I personally want out of a hip hop listening experience.
That's dope. Rashad, I know you have some like mixed emotions on West Side in general.
Oh man, so like I'll tell you like how I first heard about Griselda.
Okay.
So in Chicago, there's like this. Well, it started in Chicago. There's a guy from Chicago. His name's like Reggie. He's he's on Facebook. A couple of my older cousins know him. So he does this thing called killer tapes, where the first intro is like the meth and red conversation of, yo, what happened to my killer tape? I'll let you borrow.
Ah,
So from there, it's like it's his spin on his feel of how hip hop should sound. Well, like a nostalgia feel, like, because today's hip hop is something different than yesterday's hip hop. The whole sound quality, lyric quality, content is different. So he has these groups that he listens to, and he just throws them together and then makes these mixtapes.
Okay.
And at first, I mean, you have to be on like the selected group to get a mixtape, and the packaging is very like out of this world. Like, he'll package a CD to make it look like a drug deal, and then a brown envelope, and you get it sent to your door. Which, I mean, it's amazing. So my cousin let me hear one, and it was one track. I kept asking, "Who is that? Who? Like, yo, what did he just say?" So I rewinded and rewound it. And I haven't had that feeling listening to music in so long. So I found he was like, "Oh yeah, that's this guy Conway the Machine." I'm like, "Wow, that's an interesting name." So I went one night on my YouTube quest to watch every single YouTube in the world. So I found some freestyles from Conway. I just kept listening and listening and listening. I was like, the next day I posted on Facebook, "This is the best rapper I've heard in the past 10 years. I wanted to put a stamp on it. And this was 2015, right before the Devil Reject 2. And I said, this guy is phenomenal. Like, he is very, very worthy of every rewind he gets.
Hey, Rashad, let me sorry to jump in here because I do want you to continue, but I don't necessarily know my Griselda timeline that well. Is this like after the shooting and after?
Oh yeah, this is after the shooting. The cover of Devil Reject 2, he has his shoulder with the bullet holes and all this other stuff. So yeah, this is after the shooting, and I couldn't stop. Like, I would get more and more and more. And then I heard West Side, and I was like, I mean, I love West Side Gun's beat selection. I think his beat selection is by far one of the best in the game. I love his fashion. Sometimes it's too much, a little bit, like, he can't get through a rhyme without mentioning how much of a fly guy he is. Like, I love he's boisterous, and that's hip hop. And I'm like, okay, cool. I feel you. I get it. But sometimes, like, his rhyme delivery and the patterns, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of bored. And his voice overall is different, but then it gets to be different in the sense of like, okay, knock it off. So then I heard Benny, and I was like, whoa, this guy is really good. And then Conway put out another mixtape, and then Benny put out a mixtape, and then Conway I'm like, this is a real competition between these guys. And then they had, the guy Fahim was a part of Griselda Matt Hami was a part of Griselda for a little bit. And I just followed them to other artists and found more artists from Griselda off that offshoot. But yeah, I mean, it just continues to grow and grow. But I did have a conversation with Westside on Instagram.
Okay.
So
what was it about?
He was walking through his California home with all of his paintings on the wall, and his art collection is massive. And it's impressive. He has a lot of great pieces, and I like art. And I'm like, man, that is nice. That's nice. This is nice. And, all of his album covers, he turns them into pieces of art because he truly feels like his album covers are art. Right. Like, man, okay, you feel what you believe it. Then he has this huge Hitler face because his whole series is like Hitler wears Hermes, and from a graffiti aspect, I understand, like, because if you go over someone's face, that's a sign of disrespect in the world of graffiti.
Right.
in a artistic standpoint, I get it. You know, it's shock value. Oh my God, it's Hitler. You know, but I had to hit him up, and I said, you know, a lot of the fans might not get what you're trying to do with this whole Hitler Wears Hermes series, and you're losing a lot of potential fans that want to listen to your music because they like that type of hip hop. But your weird obsession for Hitler is just it's kind of crazy right now. Like, you do know Hitler did not like you. Hitler would not listen to a Griselda mixtape, no matter how many times you put him on the cover. He would not buy your tape. I mean, so then I said, well, and my girlfriend's Jewish, right? So she was hugely offended by the whole Hitler cover. So I asked him, I said, what if your old Droog, who was a rapper from Brooklyn, dope MC, he's also Jewish. I said, what if Droog next album cover was a Ku Klux Klan member, but without the hood, he had like a polo beanie on? Like, what would you do? Like, how would you feel about that album cover?
Oh,
His response, and I'll read it word for word. His response, and at first it shocked me that he actually responded, because usually people are like, "Yeah, get a life." I'm not.
Yeah, right, exactly. Come on.
I just made $30 billion. Get out of here. But his response was, if Drew did that, I'll buy 10 of them.
Oh,
Have a blessed night. I said, I respect your answer. I mean, but Drew couldn't do that. He couldn't produce that cover. They would crucify him. I'm like, so you really have to be aware of your imagery and your reach right now, going up in the game. Like, a lot of people won't do their homework, and then you have tons of young adolescent kids walking around with Hitler on their shirt, thinking that's the cool thing to do. That's totally not. That's not cool. And like I said, Hitler would not buy a Griselda T-shirt or album cover at all. Like, he didn't like you either. So, but he has another thing. He has another painting for Hitler Wears Hermes 6. The Hitler's black. He has the black Hitler.
wow.
And I was like, bro, that's crazy. That's crazy. That is crazy. Conway tried to try to defend him. He's like, no, he's not anti-Semitic at all. That's not anti-Semitic. It's art. I'm like, I don't know, bro. You might have to tread lightly with that. That is too much.
It's tough. It's tough because, like, you go in some record shops. I buy a lot of vinyl, and you go in, you look for West Side Gun, you look for Griselda albums because of the covers. A lot of record shops won't carry those vinyls. So the first time I saw the Hitler Wears Hermes cover, I was in Sugar Records, which is on Milwaukee Avenue in the city. I walked in there, and the guy in the store goes, "That's the guy who's infatuated with Hitler." And I looked at him before I even put the cover down. I looked at him, I turned around, the guy goes, "What do you think about it?" And I go, "Well, there's something wrong with this cover. I like the music, so I had to pick and choose my word." He goes, and I saw the Star of David on his neck, and I was like, "Oh, I wouldn't buy the album. I listened to the album. I understand where he's coming from." And the guy goes, "Good answer." So I'm talking to him in the store, and he pushed me over to the Woo session. He tried to push me away from Griselda back to Woo, and he goes, "Ghostface Killer," and there's a new Raekwon. There's a new Raekwon mix album out right now, The Vatican. So he pushed me to The Vatican. He took the Hermes cover from me, and I looked over it, and I saw him put it behind the register, and I was like, all right, I will stop asking about that album cover. I would buy one Vatican. So I bought the Vatican Raekwon mix vinyl, and he looked at me, he was like, "Good choice." And I'm like, every time I go in that shop, he goes, "You listen to any good music lately? Any good music that's not hate inspired?" I'm like, well, the music isn't really hateful. It's the album cover, because he doesn't go that deep into Hitler, musically. To be honest with you, I mean, it's just it's a misunderstanding, but at the same time, like you're right, he losing a lot of fans, he losing a lot of money opportunities here, and people,
Oh yeah,
you need to
totally.
clear it up. You need to clear it up, basically. To be honest with you,
Totally.
before.
I mean, there's been times where he'll go on this whole is art rampage. And I'm like, yeah, it's art, but so is some other stuff. You just can't. It's really difficult to separate art and reality when you know like what this character has done in the past. Like that is too much of a fine line. And I mean, does it sell? Yes, but it does drive. It could potentially drive home the wrong message. Like you're making Hitler kind of cool, like because he's on a album cover, and some kids may not do their research on who this guy is. He's just cool, and we got T-shirts, and he has Hitler as a poster of Jesus Christ on a stained glass window on one of his album covers. And I was like, I get the irony. I understand because I'm smart enough to know what that means. But to a regular person to see that is like that's a bit much, man. But I mean, besides that, I would have to say Conway is my favorite out of that group because, like you said, Bradford, he took the pain of him being shot and Bell's palsy, and he's really turned that into a driving force for him that is it's astronomical.
Yeah, and their their experience growing up in Buffalo, and being really adamant about not wanting their kids to have to face the same challenges that they did. Um, it's so narrative too, right? The Conway stuff, like it's what another bridge I make between them and the Wu-Tang Clan is you really go on whatever journey they want you to go on. They're really good storytellers, and especially for Griselda, like they're just telling true stories. They are just relating what they see and what they've experienced. So it's not even like they have to reach very far to like create this content out of nothing. It's all there, and they just like want to be the best. I mean, that's the only excuse I can think of for them churning out so much music in 2019, 2020. I mean, there's so much there. And I guess a little bit with West Side, it seems like there's a lot of quantity and not as much quality, in my opinion. But you make a good point about like projecting one image, but he's just doing like the mafioso, uh, uh, braggadocious rap, and and using art as some sort of, I don't know, weird smoke screen to like, I don't know, pretend like you're something you're not. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they should just like be true to themselves, and I don't know, do what's really moving people and not try to,
Yeah, not try to
I
create
don't
some
know.
character like I mean, with Conway, I when I was younger, I'll say this: when I first heard Mob Deep's "Shook Ones" or like "Hell on Earth," I really like looked to my friend and said, "Those guys are robbing people, and they're selling drugs. And Queensbridge is probably the most dangerous place on earth
Right.
because the way that they make you can literally close your eyes and go where they are." And that's the same with Griselda. I was in the gym one time listening to a song from Conway, and I came out and I really thought I was selling drugs in the gym. Like this was the way he described it, like from the morning waking up, hopping in someone's window, shooting somebody, getting back in the car, driving over the bridge. And I was like, whoa, this may be an illegal song that I just listened to. I'm this is crazy. So and to do that, to do it with the wordplay that he does it with, and also Benny, like this new Benny project that he has with Hit Boy. I mean, yeah, it's extremely polished because it's a Hit Boy production and it's a really big production with Jay-Z behind it and everything. But still, the wordplay and the delivery and the bars are just it's something that you wish would happen all the time with your favorite artist. It's almost like, when you grow up on an artist and he's amazing, and then he puts that CD out, you're like, ah, boy, I wish he did that. A la Nas.
Oh, we were just. I was just why I looked at you and I looked at those days like it's a nice moment. I know where you're going with that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you owe me like like your
Nostradamus.
big gold chain.
Oh, mm.
Man, I do agree with you. I mean, with Benny and Conway, man, when you close your eyes, you can see it. It's like Wu Tang. You think about Cream, and you get like you write about it. You listen to that stuff in your headphones, something like that, and you get terrified for a moment. That was the first time I listened to Wu in high school, and I'm listening to like I remember listening like No Hook, the track with Method Man, and everybody with Shaq on there. And I'm like, I'm on the bus going to school, and I'm listening to that track, and I'm looking around like I can get robbed. And so when people like, what's that paranoia? I'm listening to really good hip hop, really good music could take you to that place where you feel like this could happen to you. I'm watching people get on the train or the bus, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, I didn't tuck my chain in. I had like a little cross at the time, basically, because I'm worried. I mean, Benny and Conway, they're really good at taking you to that place. I remember, like you think lyrically, Benny man is a beast. Conway's great, but Benny's lyrics, man, are incredible. I mean, it's just like, yeah, you can see he makes other rappers get harder. Like you think about when they did the track with he did the track when they did the track with 50, he made 50 go back dark again. So this
Oh,
is
yeah.
two rappers basically at two different points in their career, and 50 had to step his game up in order to mess with them. And same thing with Eminem. When they did the track with Eminem, you notice that M ain't been that tight lyrically in a while, but he got on the track with those boys, and that's when he tightened up. He pulled his pants up and said, "I got to flow." I mean, everybody flows differently with them, which is a good thing.
The Lemon track with Method Man and
Ooh,
Conway. Method Man is probably has verse of the year on that, and he was really like rhyming to say, "Hey, I can still rhyme and take a listen to what I got." And I played it over and over and over again. Like the music, if the music doesn't give you that crunched up face, like, oh, what was that? Oh, you have to rewind it and rewind it. Like it's just not it. And whenever I listen to a Griselda like production and a mixtape, I mean, because there's a lot. They have a lot of work to put out, but I mean, it really surprises me that it is that much quality instead of just a bunch of mixtapes. I mean, some can be passed on, but others like, did you hear that song on this mixtape? If one song will make the whole mixtape, like, yo, go play track 7 again and again.
I like the way they use wrestling. He started making he started tying it into wrestling. Man, that wrestling mixtape is awesome.
Oh yeah, the fourth rope.
Yeah,
That was, man, and then every song is like a different record. Like Bob Backlund, I'm like, yo, I remember Bob Backlund, and yeah, they are really heavy into the wrestling. Like when they had that Hall and Nash song, that took me back to '96 when I first saw Razor Ramon show up on WCW Nitro, and just that tore my world
Chico.
apart because what is he doing on Nitro? And he's a WWF wrestler. What is going on?
Yeah, everybody's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, everybody was like, this is real. This is happening. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and you wonder how many more they have, and I think that's the fun part is it's not like they got started when they were like super young, right? It's definitely been something more so in the last 10 years. And um, I wonder where the line is for them. Like, hopefully you walk away at a good time and don't overstay your welcome and put out too much to where it doesn't mean anything anymore. But I mean, I feel like it's really the tip of the iceberg. Like, how much more do they have stored away that they just haven't shared with everybody?
I think they got a
Same
lot more
thing.
I think they got a lot more to share. I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
the Woo. The thing with the Woo is you can kind of see that they're running out of content a little bit. And as the RZA went more Hollywood, he pulled away from the guys or whatever. And Method went Hollywood, and Ray and Ghost became better rappers. They became even better rappers. After seeing everybody else go away at that point, I think we're Griselda is going to come down to the thing is I do worry about like this conflicted behind me. I worry about that movie a little bit, because that movie is supposed to drop like early summer, and now I'm hearing it's going to drop like I think the middle of January. That's what they're saying. So conflicted is supposed to be like their version of Buffalo, how Buffalo street life is and everything, and that's supposed to be coming, and it gives you that Belly like vibe to it. And Belly was good and bad for a lot of reasons. Belly kind of stunted some people's growth. If you think about what happened to DMX after Belly, no one knows. I mean, D went down a very dark path at the Belly. I mean, he became Tommy. That's what I worry about sometimes. That's the thing I worry about West Side Gun, is that what happens if he becomes that person that he's trying to become, like through art and everything else, because life imitates art, and that's the scary thing about West Side Gun, about West Side Gun right now, is that we don't know what he's going to evolve into. It might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing. He might turn into an actor like Mos Def or something like that. But yeah, I think when they start making movies and stuff like that, if the movie's terrible or it becomes a street classics per se, will they become this image opposed to evolving more as an MC or artist at this point?
Yeah, I mean, Benny put out Benny made two comments on Instagram that literally scared me so bad. Last year, the beginning of the year, Drake did an interview and he mentioned who he's listening to. And he was like, I mean, if you really want to go like bar for bar, you gotta sit down and listen to Benny the Butcher. And I said, oh no, oh no, no, don't you mention him, please don't. And Benny reposted it and he goes, can't wait till we do a song. And I just said, stop,
Oh,
don't you do this to me.
Yeah, that's so messed up because I was going to say something about Drake during this conversation. I was like, like if I'm just listening to whatever music and it's good beats, maybe it's Drake here and there, that's fine.
Yeah,
But like Drake doesn't make me feel anything. Do you know what I mean? And that's fine. Like
yeah.
I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody else's art, right? But yeah, this whole movie thing, you bring up a really good point. Like we were talking about Outcast earlier. You know, again, movie watching subjective experience. I don't know how you guys feel about the Outcast on the big screen experience, but um, I'm wondering if it worked out the way they thought it would. Like, did they was ATL is like the movie they had in their mind when they, when Big Boy decided that like, he wanted to be on the big screen someday. I would be afraid of this kind of not ruining them, but yeah, it's hard when there's like another side to the situation. Like what comes afterwards for them? Are they the same people? Do they come out differently? Can they still stay true to what they do? I mean, I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. Truth be told, I was very nervous with the whole Rock Nation signing with Benny. And I mean, because from looking at it from a fan's point of view, it's good job. I'm happy that you're getting this accolade that you've been rhyming about for the past 4 or 5 mixtapes that you deserve, and you're finally getting the shine that you deserve. but the selfish fan, like the true like hip hop head fan in me is like, no, go back to not having anything, please. That makes you more hungry, more diligent. It's almost like by the time Slim Shady 2 came around, it's like, oh no, this is not what I signed up for. So I was nervous, for the first project that he was coming up with. It was going to be like a major push, but overall, I mean, it's pretty solid. And then Conway came from the King to a God. It's pretty solid. They're right now they're really in their groove. I mean, Conway does sometimes this weird thing when he tries to sing a little bit when he sings the hooks was kind of comical. I'm like, what are you doing?
Sooner or later, everybody tries to sing a little bit because you're trying to grow, right? I mean, it's not always positive growth.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then if a fan doesn't like the song, then they're like, well, I gotta grow. You can't listen to me rap about what I rap about 5 mixtapes ago. I'm a different person now. You're like, no, right. Be that same person.
No, wait, you're this guy right here.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm hoping the movie doesn't ruin them for me. But that's a very selfish thing to say also. I want to acknowledge that, like, as a fan, I just like consume. So, not taking anything away from what they're doing right now. Like I think that From King to a God is like top 3 for me this year. Mostly because I've played it out and continue to. So I'm a big fan, but I'm also all about Alchemist this year too. So,
sure.
It kind of goes hand in hand with the Freddie Gibbs album for me. That's something else I've played out a lot this year. And the production is just so good. And I really like, as far as like the overall tempo or pace of a lot of Griselda stuff, like I love it when they slow shit down.
Oh yeah.
And they like really like intentionally want you to listen. And another thing I really like about them is how unapologetic they are about who they are. And not that all MCs aren't, it's not like I'm saying they're apologetic, but yeah, it's just no apologies. I'm going to slow this beat down as much as I can so you hear every word. So there's, no question about the story I'm trying to tell or whatever. And, those are things that I had always liked about the Wu in the same way. I mean, you mentioned Cream earlier. It's like, I don't know what it is about the slow beats or, especially the slow Alchemist beats that just like really make it an easy listening experience for me. It's something that you can sit and bob your head to. It's not real complicated, and it's not going to make you get up and like dance, and that's not what I'm necessarily listening to it for.
Yeah, I like that you talk about the slow down beats because I really love the Lulu album that Alchemist did.
Yeah.
And like Rashad, when you're talking about how you got introduced to them and your guy that had like the mixtape delivery that was almost like a drug deal, like I look at a lot of their discography and it's really hard for me to determine like what is actual albums, what are studio albums, what are mixtapes, because again, everyone seems very protective of what they're doing, and whether they finally have that album under Shady or under Rock Nation, like they're still kind of protected on the streets, I think. So anyhow, I bring up the Lulu album because that for me showed how much like, I guess Conway kind of is somewhat like the heart and soul of the collective. And then Benny obviously for me is a lyricist, I guess. And then, Westside is just the mastermind / flashy dude. He also, I think he owns a part of a wrestling franchise too. That's how much he actually is into wrestling, how much he admits that it brings it back to his inner child. I don't know what like C-level wrestling league he has some stock in, but he definitely supports that industry.
He
I,
he he, he loves wrestling.
Yeah.
Last night he was on live, and he pulls out of his like suitcase or something 2 Chris Benoit like action figures. He's like, this is blood Chris Benoit because he has on red pants, and this is Chris Benoit because he has on blue pants. And I'm gonna make blood Benoit fight Crip Benoit, and I'm like, yo, you are really bugged out right now. Man. You are tripping. I mean, he went on for the like he was watching the Buffalo Bills game, and then when that came too boring for him, and he just bust out with like action figures of wrestlers, and he's like, I'm going to make them wrestle, and I mean, I was like, yo, this dude he is trippy.
Yeah, and again, staying true to who they are. Like, I feel like sometimes you can picture them as like 10, 11, 12-year-old little kids and what they were into, and you know, they're still super young at heart. I mean,
Yeah, and they're all like family, right? Like what is it? One of them is brothers and one of them is cousins. Is that basically it?
yeah, Conway and Westside are brothers, and Benny's their cousin.
Yeah, so I mean, from that standpoint, I don't see it happen. The group breaking up. I don't see it anything like that. Like, kind of Benny is really getting this push right now as like one of the top lyricists as of right now. I mean, that song he had with Freddie Gibbs on the new project is really, really, really clean, really good. And the beats, like you said, Bradford, those beats, when they slow the beats down and it's not some crazy hook in the background, and it's not a track that you will hear in the club. You're forced to pay attention to what they're saying, and then from there they paint that picture that it's almost like only they can paint it for you. I in college I had friends that were from Buffalo, so whenever they said like Buffalo was hard, like Kevon, you remember Colleen, like she would always
Yeah.
talk about like how Buffalo was so tough and grimy. I would look at her like, you are ridiculous. There's nothing but what buffalo wings there. I know you guys have tons of buffalo wings, hockey, and that's it. Because I've never heard about the tough streets of Buffalo.
I mean,
But she
Duncan
would,
Case is from there.
yes. I mean,
Yes.
she would
Kane.
go
Kane.
on.
Yeah.
Kane is from there.
Kane's from there.
Yeah, because they always mention Patrick Kane in the song. So,
Oh
but
man.
I mean, she would go on, and like she was a Wu-Tang head. She was like, no, I'm telling you, Buffalo is just grimy, it's hard, it's rough. I can't wait for somebody to Buffalo to blow. And I remember when they were starting the bubble, I would call her like, have you heard of them? Do you know, are these streets familiar to you? She goes, yeah, I know the streets. I've never heard of them. So she took a listen and she called. She's like, I told you to happen. And it's finally happened. And I'm so happy for them. I'm like, yeah, well, okay. They're official to me.
Yeah,
It's
man.
like
I think they're trying to. Oh, were you gonna say, Bradford?
No, go ahead, man.
No, I was just gonna say quickly, like the album cover of the WC was it WWCW? No, WWC D, that
Oh yeah,
Griselda album. Do you know who that is on the cover of the album?
no,
Like for a while, like me ignorantly not knowing, and I'm not a Griselda completist. I was like, maybe that's Griselda. I don't know, because it looked like it's an old lady, but it's actually like a bum that's from Buffalo. I think her name is Claire. Like some like hobo that
Somebody that
everybody
they knew
knows.
from,
Okay.
yeah.
Exactly. So I mean,
Yeah,
that's
they were
kind
doing
of like their way
solid
to kind of put the authenticity stamp on it, you know?
for sure. And yeah, I think someone had mentioned earlier about transporting you to like the exact time and place of like wherever they're rapping about, and it's like you really you feel like you know that neighborhood even though you like don't know that neighborhood at all. I feel the same way about Freddie Gibbs and Gary, Indiana. I feel the same way about like that one Wu track that's Killa Hills 10304. Like how much do you feel like you know everybody in his neighborhood in that song.
Yes.
It's like the dude on the corner, you know, who owns the corner store but can also build a bomb. Who, you know, he was from Afghanistan, learned how to do it when he was a little kid. Like,
Killer Hills 10304.
Yeah, it's like so visceral. So it's crazy. I mean, like I would, you know, even if I knew shit about Buffalo, I'd never have any kind of view into what it was like there for you know, anybody specifically. And there are places like that all over America. So it, you know, I'm like, well, where's the next Griselda crew coming from? Like,
Exactly.
who's going to be the next like underground artists? I'm really looking forward to that because I didn't know where music was like during these times, you know, and it's like through artists like this that gives you a little bit of hope.
Yeah, it does give you a lot of hope with I mean, at one point it was a big influx of a lot of Lil rappers like Lil Yachty, Lil this, Lil that. I mean, no disrespect to them because, you know, they have their own lane and they do what they do. So, but being my age, I can't see myself like hopping in the car on a road trip and playing Little Pump for a consecutive amounts of time. I mean, it's just not me. So this gives you a feel of like when the Locks were first coming out and they were like really, it was three rappers that could really rap and hold their own. And then you know, you had Jada, but Styles would just go crazy. And then lo and behold, like Griselda opened up for the Locks, and it just is the same type of feel. Like they're rapping about something that's authentic. They're rapping about something, even if they didn't do what they're rapping about, say they're rapping about someone else's life, I can tell that it's so firsthand that, you know, I can believe it because, you know, I've seen some of the things that they've rapped about. Or if you don't know a Bobby or from the corner store, there's someone that you can relate that character to that they're rapping about. You're like, oh yeah, okay, I see where they're coming from. I mean, everybody doesn't have Basquiat's on the wall, but everyone has seen someone, you know, drink a 40-ounce before. So, I mean, it really covers the scale from aspirations to, you know, reality for me. So, of course, I would love to have as much art as West Side Gun and wear Chanel ski mask, you know, in the summertime when he's this is what really drives me wild about West Side. So I went to the Griselda show here in Chicago last year.
Okay.
Last year when it came. So it was a real like hush hush Griselda's coming type, you know, event. Well, it was really like don't say it too loud or it's not gonna happen. It's like the boogeyman's coming. Griselda's coming. And at first the tickets were just $20. And I'm like, really? All right, cool. Yeah, I'll just wait a bit. I'll wait a while. No one's really, you know, gonna buy them tickets up like that because I tried to go to one other show before that 2 years ago and it was sold out with, I mean, it was ridiculous, but this was a bigger venue. They came. West Side's performing in a ski mask, a full-length bubble coat, sweater, boots, and gloves on the whole show for half of the show. And I'm like, that's unbelievable. I know it's hot from being on those stages. He has to be burning up under the mask. And he's rhyming, and I'm like, well, I gotta give him credit for that. I mean, for that alone. But then, like, I mean, the whole energy of the show is like, these guys are phenomenal. And, you know, to bring back the nostalgia figure with the Woo, you go to a Woo show, there's at least 50 people on stage. You have
Right.
the 9 MCs plus their plus ones. So everybody's on the Wu stage. And with Griselda, there's at least 40 to 50 people on stage.
Wow.
There's like Griselda, the cousins of Griselda, family members, people that grew up with them, their friends, the artists that performed before them, they're allowed on stage. It is a real big movement behind them. And I mean it's dope to see. It's amazing to see. And then, they interact with the people. Like hey, you want to come up on and do this rap, and you want to do this, you want to hear some weed. It gives you a feel like they're really trying their best to connect to everybody as much as possible. And only if West Side removes those artwork covers, he would be. I mean, his potential is amazing because his beats, like I said, some beats that he picks where he wants to talk about his art they're really great. But overall, this movement, I don't see it stopping for quite some time. I hope that it doesn't stop for quite some time.
Yeah, Rashad, you bring up West Side's art antics. You've taken me back to a bad memory of I had this uncle who would um have like a Nazi flag and a Confederate flag and just trying to like show it and flaunt it just to be like, the streets is talking about this. I'm gonna post a flag up and like Bradford was talking about, it's like this ain't who you are, and you're trying to
Yeah.
pretend like you're something you're not.
Yeah,
But
it's just like
just 'cause-
shock art, and it's using art as an excuse to just lack social conscious or
Exactly.
especially when you're trying to build up what you do and to have hopefully have people see you fairly. I mean, that doesn't seem to be something they really care about at all, but still you have a responsibility, I think, when it comes to certain things, and putting art out there on the whipping post to be your excuse for everything. That can only go so far, I think.
Yeah, that was, I guess that's the whole thing that I was at least trying to relate to him in my Instagram post. Is like, some people are going to understand that it's art, but you're offending a good 500,000 or more people who have lost families due to this certain person's ideology and actions. So you really have to take a step back from yourself. And not to mention, I mean, it sounds funny, but Hitler would not buy a Griselda album. Like, he just
Right. Hitler would not approve of the Alchemist collaboration, right?
It would
Like,
definitely
he's not
not
listening to
be.
Action Bronson. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely not putting that in the bins when he goes to see Jesse Owens win every race competition. It's just not happening. So it just makes you look borderline ridiculous when you're like, his next album is Sincerely Adolf.
Yeah.
Like, bruh, knock it off. Like, stop. Take a step back. Like, the only thing that I fear is that it'll get so much attention that he'll get the wrong attention from the right people. And then, because right now we live in a cancel culture, and he will feel the wrath of cancel fever. He will be canceled, which is, I mean, it sounds almost audacious as a Black person to be canceled, but he's running the risk of it.
It seems
I mean,
like weird timing when you're about to go super mainstream with a movie and you're finally getting a certain audience that maybe you've been dreaming about. Do you think it's deliberate? Like, is it just natural self-destructive tendencies that some of us have?
yeah, that's deep.
it's hard to interpret. I did see an interview of them three. It was posted earlier this year, and I didn't see him use the the it's art argument, Rashad, but I did hear him like spout about, I don't give a fuck. I'm just gonna do whatever I do. And if he feels like he's propelled this far, and he even was kind of like semi bragging about he's the puppet master, although he doesn't call himself that, and he wasn't even rhyming for like 7 years, but somehow he's kind of like brought this group out of nothing. But I mean, like when you talk about where's the next Griseldas, you're not going to have any of these like groups that have the word on the street without somebody that's like a beacon, or that somebody that's going to shine that light, or somebody that's looking at the art and wanting to strive for that. Because if you have three like titans of lyricists like Benny's, like three of them, or three Conway, like whining cats. Was again, I don't claim that he's whining, but I do like sad boy rap myself. But again, it's like you have to have that range, you have to have that convergence, and you have to have that ringleader that kind of shows everybody like we're gonna go to the next one, regardless if you're with us or not.
What I worry about with them is pissing off the producers, because most of their producers, you look at Derringer, you look at the Beat Butcher, who's from the UK. So you start looking at the production. What makes them stand out the most was being lyricists. Their production is stellar. You throw Alchemist in that mix. There's a lot of people of Jewish descent that are making these Griselda beats. So that's the dangerous thing that goes on, because Derringer was talking about he been messing with he been messing with guns since like 2004, and he was saying that's my guy. I know he says stuff, but he respects him at that point. But it gets to a point where sometimes he might get canceled, and then Darren's just going to take that production and go somewhere else with that production. That's what makes them cold right now. Is the fact that your producers, man, are people that can get you canceled. They're the same people make you famous. Yeah.
And another thing, like Conway has a couple of tracks that he's done with Droog. Like I said, Droog is from Brooklyn. He's from a total Orthodox community. His beats are from Derringer and that same camp. Like you don't want to. It's almost like play nice, almost. You know what I'm saying? Like if you consider these people friends of yours or your boys or your buddies, I don't want to go sideways and try to defend it to them as oh guys, you're overreacting. It's just art. Don't worry about it. You know who I am, or have them to defend you in front of their people. That would be that's crazy to me. Like I would never want to put a friend in that position. So if you could, like, they were on Vlad TV, and Vlad's asking Conway, like, hey man, like what's going on with all the Hitler stuff? And Conway to a point was like, you gotta ask him, because I mean it's art, man. He tries to say, like, how many like Jewish lawyers is in the label? Like they wouldn't, if they felt any type of way, they wouldn't let this project come out. And trust me, it's not this, it's not that. But then Vlad brings up like arguments where he's quoted, some folks that are, real crazy with the wording. And he's like, but what about when he quoted so-and-so? And he's like, look, man, you got to ask him, because I know who he is as a character, as I know his character as a person, but you just got to ask him. And I mean, to his point, like he doesn't give a fuck. He's making tons of money right now, but at one point you got to give a fuck, because those tons of money you can go right back to whooping a Kia Coke and trying to sell it. So like you don't want to make that mistake. But I think being around JC more will get him to understand where you gotta be able to play both sides of the room. Even in work, like I may not like you, but we gotta work together. So, at the end of the day, this is work. So you gotta do something to continue your work to be spread around, which is the ultimate goal, because God forbid you have to go back to where you came from.
That is true. I mean, so what do you guys think about the whole Shady Record situation? because I believe they're off Shady Records right now. And I know, I mean, what went down there in that situation?
Eminem being Eminem as a businessman person, he's not really that sound. I mean, he has Slaughterhouse. Like, what happened to Slaughterhouse? They never. I don't even think Slaughterhouse came out with an album, which is bad because they had a good collective of MCs. So it's on Shady Records. There's Slim Shady, and then there's others. No one really gets the shine that they deserve because it's I don't think that's his business. That's not him. He's an artist. Some artists can't transfer into businessmen.
Yeah, I would be scared Eminem would just fly off the handle trying to do any kind of business with him. He's just so angry. He's just so angry. And maybe he's not, but that's how I feel when I listen to his music. It's just he must be hard to live with. Not the best roommate. Not the best.
Especially when he starts growing that beard. When he grows that beard, he's
Oh man, in the dark hair.
it's the dark beard. When Marshall grows that dark beard, it is.
I know that beard is weird. He's using that Emmett Smith Just for Men.
Yeah, because up top is very salt and pepper, but that beard is all black, and it never fully grows all the way in, but it's real shadowy, and he gets angry when that beard comes.
He puts on the small black suit, and you're like, "What is he about to do right now?" I mean, I was looking at that record, that new album cover a couple of days ago, and I'm like, "What is going on in this album cover?" I know what you mean. The Just for Men beard kit is in full effect. The suit is very small, and he's staring like he's about to like flip out on you right now on the cover. I mean, Emma's a different beast, man. You know, it's like I love the first album. After that, it got dark and it got scary. You know, like lyrically, I mean, I'm like, man, I love him lyrically, but I mean, Kamikaze and Godzilla is awesome. But other than that, if you get off of Godzilla, there Eminem, the rest of the album you can't listen to. I used to drive from other places late at night, listen to Eminem. I had to stop because I'm driving through the heartland of America, the ass crack of America, and I'm listening to Eminem, and I'm looking out the window. I'm like, this is really depressing me. I had to change the music, roll my window down, call somebody I hadn't talked to in a while. Because Eminem, man, it makes you want to stop life. You're like, I need to.
Now imagine that as a record exec. Like, he's really unpredictable. He's unpredictable with song selection, so he might be unpredictable as hell when it comes to like. I mean, he had Conway, and it was amazing. And he's still to this day like big ups Conway, and he doesn't burn his bridges with them. But I think the whole Rock Nation deal with Benny, because I don't know if Conway is still on Griselda. I believe I don't know if Conway is still on Shady. I believe he is. But I know Benny was never on Shady. He was just signed to Griselda, which was a smart idea on West Side's behalf, is not put all our eggs in one basket. Let's see if we can shop it around. And then when you get Jay-Z to come to your concert and he's backstage and he's like telling you, he's reciting your lyrics, you're like, okay. I mean, M is great, but then you have Hov making $1 billion. So
yeah, M is like your foot in the door, right? To like get you to that next level. But partners or bedfellows for a long period of time, no way.
Yeah, exactly.
No way. I don't think Eminem's going to be alive that long.
The way he's going, man, it's scary. Like he's in a rap battle with Lil Pump.
How's that a battle?
Royce the 5'9" is like trying to tell Eminem to chill. Like, yo, stop. This is not anything you should pay attention to.
Lil Pump.
He's 12.
He's 12. And he's from Miami, Florida. So I mean, what do you want to do? I mean,
chill.
It is crazy you think about it, because with Jay keeps talent around him because he's like a vampire. He's like LeBron James LeBron James keeps younger players around him so he can win more championships. They're vampires.
Round of applause.
They suck the youth out of you. They get famous. They win a championship. And I think Bron has learned a lot from Jay in terms of how do you stay young in hip hop. Let's go mess with Griselda. He saw it. I mean, and Drake does the same damn thing. Because what Drake does is, I want to make a song with you. Like right now, he's in the trenches right now with Lil Durk. And I'm laughing. I'm like, what is the man from Toronto doing on O Block? What is really going on? And then, and it's sad. You think about music, music wordplay, where Dirk goes, I'm gonna bring Drake to the hood to introduce him to more Drakes. And I'm like, I'm listening to this lyric, and I'm just like, he just said, bro, Drake to Chicago introducing to more Drakes.
Yeah,
like,
I surrounded Drakes with Drakes. And I was like, wow.
Wow. I'm like, that's scary.
Wow.
And those are the attorneys and lawyers that keep him out of jail. So that's what they were. And so I'm just like, man, I mean, it's scary because, we're Griselda and Rock Nation. The thing is, the vampire is in the room right now. The one, he's like, you ever watch Bram Stoker's Dracula? And he talked about, he went through the seas of time to get here. That's how Jay is. Jay is like that. Drake is going to be like that as he gets older because they got to stay relevant. Jay ain't stole a brick or sold these drugs in over 30 years. So he had to go back to the streets and figure it out.
Yeah, man. I mean, we just have to mention names like Benny Siegel, who just never recovered from the blood sucking of Jay-Z. Memphis Bleak has never put out a good project.
It's Dynasty all over again.
Woo! Oh man, that was such a bad album. When you think of it, it was so bad. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, there was some garbage on that album. Yeah.
People like to say "Kingdom Come," which is also a frisbee. It's a frisbee. That is a frisbee.
It's a brick.
That's a Budweiser promo. That's what that is. Show me what you
yeah, that was whatever that was. That was like that was a Budweiser commercial. But then when you go deep down, Dynasty was not very good. And that's what I'm scared of, that one day Benny drops a Dynasty album and I'm like, no, please no. I don't want to go back to listen to all your old songs and have to cancel you because you've made it. I mean, when you make it, it's hard to talk about what you just talked about 12 songs ago. It's difficult, but you have to find a way to reinvent. I mean, the Wu stopped talking about Shaolin, and I was like, oh man.
They started talking about bedrock and stuff like that. Where are the dinosaurs in this video?
They did the video with them looking like the Flintstones.
Oh, man.
Gravel Pit. Yeah.
Gravel Pit, man. It was the Flintstones soundtrack. That's what that was.
Back and forth. I was like, oh no.
Battle. You're like, no. Wu-Tang.
I know, it's like, I got the new CD. It's like, is it good? Well, no. You got to listen to it a few times. As soon as you start telling people you have to listen to something like 5 times to like it.
It's not good. It's definitely not good. That's like when the Wu dropped Iron Flag. And I was like, well, maybe they have something to redeem themselves with this. And then after the second song, I was like, okay. Oh man.
When you had Junior Reed on the track, when they went with that whole Caribbean flow, that had nothing to do with Brooklyn. And I heard Junior Reed, One Blood. You're like, no. And then the Game, years later, samples the same song and releases the album. And everybody said One Blood is nice. The Wu already did that. It was under the W.
Is this song Uzi off of Iron Flag?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think of a couple others. I'm like,
and when you have to do that, you're like, let me think of a couple of I just don't want Conway and Benny to get into this realm where it's like, where we got to continue to elevate our art, because a lot of rappers do this for some strange reason. Like Andre 3000, Andre was amazing in Aliens and
Aquemini.
Aquemini.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm not a rapper, I'm an artist. You're like, oh man, I know what's next.
It was a
Hemp
love. It was a love. It was
sandals,
a love below. The love below.
hemp sandals and brown bracelets. Like Common.
And wigs.
Common,
Yeah.
Who?
Common was amazing. Like Common made, B, and then One Day It'll All Make Sense and Resurrection, and then something happened after like Water for Chocolate.
Bad do happen.
After Water for Chocolate, I
that's
said,
bad dude.
uh-oh.
Well, he got
Then he had a dashiki and Is Your Eyes Still Green, Girl? I'm like, oh
no.
That's about Erykah Badu right there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then Kanye came and finished them off. When he gave him B, man, and he got into Collective Soul and introduced him to the Gap and everything else, man, and the 600 count thread count. He was over at that point, man. He needed better sheets.
People like to attribute B solely to Kanye, but it was a lot of Jay Dilla influences on a lot of those songs. It was Jay Dilla's last production. So it was extremely like, oh man, this is one of Jay Dilla's last joints. And then you got Kanye with Dilla. Great. So after that, it was like Common for President 2021. It's just now he's on the Vote campaign now, and he's rapping with Joe Biden and
no, not Joe.
He's doing like Microsoft commercials. It's just not the same dude from 87th Street. And I want Benny and Conway to stay on Mayblock. Just stay there.
It's not gonna happen. Because you gotta think about, if you listen to that album, he sampled Reasonable Doubt on that album. If you think about that album sounds like a Jay-Z album. Jay-Z can literally take every beat on that album and drop it right now.
With that Hit Boy, the production, that's one thing I was really scared about, because Hit Boy did that Nas thing that Nas called an album last couple of months ago. It was when he did the scatting, Nas tried to scat because the rhymes was like I was like, oh man, now you're just bored. Now you just Nas falls into the I'm a great artist, so it doesn't matter what beat I use. Listen to what I say. It doesn't work. But Hit Boy came and did the whole production for Nas, and then it was so. Then he was like, I'm doing Benny's whole album. I was like, uh-oh.
He did them in the studio at the same time. Do you ever watch that behind the scenes of Nas album? He had Benny next door. He had Nas in one room, and Nas was like, "What's up, the Benny guy?" And I was like, and Nas had no clue who Benny really was. And Benny had dropped a lot of projects. That was the weird thing that was going on, when they were doing Nas's album, because Hit Boy was also doing some work with that dude out of Atlanta, the one that went at Jay-Z this week. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Young Thug.
Yeah, I won't say his name. You say his name 3 times, he appear. So if you don't say his name, he said, I can't name 30 Jay-Z songs that people know the words to. And I paused for a minute. I'm like, Thugger? No, Thugger, no. It's bad when everybody in the studio got quiet and left him talking. They were just like, as Nas, how don't you know Tana Talk 3? How can you not know that body of work? As phenomenal as that project is, how don't you know, oh man, that's the guy that made Tana Talk 3? Like I remember watching Hip Hop Honors, and Big Daddy Kane was being honored, and to the side, LL Cool J was rapping the whole song with Kane while he was performing. Like, because when you were rhyming and another person said that they were good, you had to go check it out. Like, okay, let's see what the talk is about. And then you gave them props, like, oh man. So either Nas is in a closet, like not listening to music besides Jay-Z's, so he can try to like one up Hove of some weird competition that they have. Because Jay-Z Nas drops an album, and then Jay-Z and Beyonce produces a song with Pharrell, which is, they drop on the same day. No.
So how don't you know where the music is coming from now. Like even
Yeah, or even My First Brick. I'm like, how do you skip over that one? Because yeah, Tan Talk 3 is unreal, and like I went back and revisited My First Brick a couple
oh yeah,
times.
My First Brick is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, like hit like song after song, you know.
He was with Nicki when that was going on. So,
Yeah.
he was lost at that point. He was with Nicki. So we'll say Nicki Minaj consumed his time. So he wasn't listening to music. He was too busy he was trying to help her. He saw the Beyonce moment there. He thought that if Nicki Minaj and I become a power couple, we can basically rival Jay and Beyonce. You
He's
know,
always,
yeah,
and if I know this isn't a Nas cast, but
yeah.
Nas he's always been in competition with the shadow of Jay-Z, which is like, because I'm Nas. I've made the best hip hop album, period. Illmatic. Give me my crown, my props. I am Nas. And then you got Biggie coming along, and then you got Jay-Z, and then like the limelight is moved and removed from him permanently, which I mean has to be sad, but that's what he's doing. He made comments like, "Yeah, I could have been had Beyonce a long time ago." Like, nah,
Okay.
chill, bro.
Yeah.
In the book, he goes, "I could have been had Beyonce, but her breath stinks, so I passed." It's like, nah, all right, bro, relax.
And then you
But
hugging
yeah,
her, and then you hugging her at every award show, talking about, "Hey, how are you?" That's hard to do, in that situation. I
you know
mean,
where the bread is buttered, fam. You do not go against Beyonce and Jay-Z right now. That's
uh,
impossible.
yeah,
Yeah,
unless,
because you don't want Disney coming after you. Disney will, do it dirty for sure.
You won't have any more ring money. Like
oh,
your,
no,
your ring money is gone after they come for you.
they would
You
make
get
Lisa artist
abducted by
again.
somebody in a Mickey Mouse costume, and you
Uh,
least suspect it.
Khalees will have a new album by Tuesday, produced by Beyonce and Jay Z. It's like the Carters with Khalees, and it outsell your records right now. That's how
Yeah,
scary it is.
I like before to get back on Griselda. I really hope that they continue this wave that they have because it's amazing. It's refreshing, and it also like opens up that lane for you know real grimy rap is not a thing of the past. Like a long time ago, like maybe even 10 years ago, people were just like, yeah, you're stuck in the 90s because you're still listening to Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth. You're stuck in this era that is gone. But now that era is back and it's back with Griselda. Rock Marciano is
Mhm.
another artist that is fabulous. You have a lot of MCs that are in that same lane. And right now, Griselda is the spearhead for that lane. And for those artists' sake, for those other artists' sake, I hope it continues because it shows them a way that there is a way to make money, and you don't have to have a dance on your song. You don't have to have a crazy TikTok moment you
Yeah.
You don't have to have a hook. You don't have to have a hook.
don't have to have a hook.
Like
Unless you,
no one's talking about the lemon squeeze hook, right?
No, oh no, man, that's when he tried to lemon squeeze. It's so bad that I found myself repeating it. Like, why is he saying this? Ah, fuck it, he said it. I'm saying it too now.
Yeah, so it's hard because you hope that, like, kind of what you're saying, Rashad. Like you hope that they don't go all Pepsi, that.
Yeah,
about
But
the
at the
ice.
same point, I'm trying to put myself in those shoes, and if whomever comes knocking at your door, what is the price? What is your price? Do they have a price? What are they willing to sell to get whatever it is? Um, I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm curious to see what happens next.
and to double down on their rapper slash wrestler scenario, Ted DiBiase says everyone has a price.
I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, let's just hope if they do have that sellout moment, it's something good. Um, like I don't know if you want to do it for is it Reese's Puffs Is it you know, it's got to be something good. It can't
Oh
be like
man,
it can't be like Fresca or, you know, something really weak. I know
hip hop
Conway's
pop.
already rapping about Mountain Dew in one of his songs, so
Oh no, not hip hop pop. I can't take it. I only drink Mountain Dew, and I'm like, no, don't do it. No. Yeah, because I mean that is true. It's gonna come, and when it comes, you gotta have your price. So I hope their price is at least up there to where it's $1 billion, man, or close to. I see that wallpaper. Yeah, I mean that's Rock Marciano and Jay. And Jay is coming. Like Rock Marciano's been around since 2011, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
When he made like the Rock Files. It's amazing songs. And it's really like pimpish rap, but not down south. It's New York pimp rap, which is pretty cool. He has great bars, great lyrics, great delivery. And lo and behold, the man with the knotted hair is now around Rock Marciano.
He's sucking energy.
And Mount Marciano, his latest project, it was good, but the fans were looking for so much more.
It's hard. Fans are ruthless. I mean, try pleasing anyone right now. It's really difficult, and the market is really saturated. So, you know, it's like endless streaming of anything you could possibly want. Like, how do you make yourself stand out?
Yeah, that is true. Like pleasing fans that's very difficult. That's actually one of the strains I have with like managing artists. Like my artist Vel the General, he doesn't even like being called my artist. So the artist Vel the General, he's going through this whole thing where, you know, like he can have multiple lanes. Like he can do the boom bap lane, right? Because that's the bread and butter. That's what he knows. He can, I mean, but at the same time, his musical influences, I mean, you can catch him listening to 8 Ball, MJG. You can catch him listening to Scarface, you know, Pastor Troy. Just there's a bunch of eclectic things. So he's like, I can do that too. It's like, yeah, but I mean, like I tell some people, just because they make the pants in your size doesn't mean you have to buy them. Like, don't do that. This is what you're great at. You may be good at this, but put the blinders on the horse. This is what you're great at. So let's churn out some stuff that you're great at. And then when you're ready to go walk in the sand with, you know, flip-flops on like Hove, like this when you want to. By that time, you have a discography that the fans can enjoy and love. And, you know, then you start making music for yourself, what they all say they do now. So.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that's reflected in like what we're hearing from them. I mean, it's all very personal, so it's like something you want to put on your headphones and like be by yourself and like have an experience, right? Like it's that type of music that teenagers should be like listening to in bedrooms behind closed doors with their friends, you know what I mean, talking about what somebody just said, or like, can you believe what they just said, or what, you know what I mean, like trading music and you know, in a way that brings people together instead of just focusing on just the material aspect. I mean, you know, obviously I'm a sneakerhead, I'm into like material stuff somewhat, but but I mean, I can only, I guess, speak of it from my own listening experience. I mean, that's what I love about my favorite albums. It's almost always like shared with a small group of people, or one other person, or something by yourself when you're in a real like painful place, or just I don't know. I mean, there's so much out there. It doesn't always strike the same chord, but
oh yeah, totally.
I like that you can still like groove to their stuff though, you know, like
yeah, man.
I can't groove to Eminem. Like, you know, nothing.
really
Eminem
can't.
Makes me want to drive a car off a cliff. Like that's the type of music it is.
You need your wife to leave you. You need like to be at the end of your bank account, and then you put Eminem on. But you can't do that under good circumstances, you know.
Great background that you put up there, Kevon. You got Hove and Jay Elect.
Well, that's
The
what I was.
missing man, the missing link of hip hop.
That's what I was afraid of Benny turned into. When he went to Rock Nation, I was afraid of Jay Electronica experience because
You know what though? What really soured me about the whole Jay Electronic? Okay, so you make an amazing song in 2012,
right.
Exhibit A, B, and C. Great. Then you go missing for 8 years with teases of this album that it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, and then when it happens, it's a duet. It's you and Jay-Z actually get like Jay-Z's like, yeah, sure, I'll get on your album because I'm making the album, and it's a duet album, and it's lackluster, and people are like, they did it for the culture, and that term is just being so
What culture?
abused right now.
What culture? I want to know what culture that was.
Oh,
Yeah,
like Zoom culture? Zoom culture? 'Cause
yeah,
I know a little bit about Zoom culture.
yeah. I hate when they're like, yeah, but this album's for the culture. I'm like, which one? Like, what culture are you talking about? Because these are two older gentlemen, one who has it and one who could have and never grabbed it, making an album. I mean, they had two great songs, but it was still a duet song. That's not even a Jay Electronica album. It's a Jay-Z Jay Electronica album. And after that, Jay Electronica went missing again.
And Erica
So
Badu didn't do it this time. First time he got kidnapped by Erica Badu, if you remember.
he's the only one that survived the the Badu, myth. He's escaped. He had a baby early on by Erica Badu, and he got free from the fly trap. And then he made
Baduism.
oh man, I heard that part. That's real, bro. Raphael Sadiq did an interview with Erica Badu in Erica Badu's home, and she asked him, "Why are you wearing sunglasses in my house?" And he goes, "Because you're not supposed to look at you in your eyes." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that's a real thing. They say once people look at you, they're totally messed up." She's like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm keeping my sunglasses on."
Green eyes.
It's serious, bro. Let's look at her list, okay? Let's look at her list of falling. You got Andre, who is number one. He's not even in there. He's like wearing bell bottoms and wearing weird Italian heel shoes to pick up his children from school. He's going really weird.
He's on another planet.
Common is now a politician now. Before that, he was like
he's a voice of the black culture now too. So he just randomly appears in commercials. He's like, what is this Common voice? It's so he's like the Allstate man. It scares the hell out of me. I hear Common talking.
AI now. Yeah, he's like, why is Common talking about Microsoft AI? Like
it's the future.
What do you know about AI, Common? Nothing.
One of my guys at work goes, is that rapper guy talking about AI? I'm like, yes, that's Common.
We can look at mountain lions from afar. I'm like, all right, buddy, knock it off.
Yeah, I don't want to see Conway or Benny on a Liberty Mutual commercial.
Oh god! If your credit score or LifeLock, Benny's doing LifeLock commercials. You in the background, boom, 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 boom. You're like, no.
Boom, 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 boom.
Got you.
I definitely don't want to see him doing like, what I'm saying? We know a little because we've seen a little. Liberty, liberty, liberty. Woo, 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 woo. Then, I cannot see. Oh, that would hurt my soul. And I know it's coming, but I don't want to look at it.
I mean, Griselda, I guess to close out a little bit, Griselda's going in the right direction. I do worry about the influences around them. We don't want the Jay Electronica experience to happen again. As long as Benny doesn't find Erica Badu or she sees his artwork in his home, I think he'll be fine. because right now she collected MC souls. All her kids are musically talented. Have you not noticed this? She has a full band of musicians in her house right now, and they all have mysterious names. They're named after days of the week when they occur. Whenever they were conceived, it's the day of the week is their name. There's seven.
My
There's eight.
baby name is
There's
Seven.
7.
Yeah, that's true. When you have a name like that, you're limited to things that you can do professionally.
You gotta
One,
be a musician.
write poems. Two, write music. Or three, porn. Those are your only 3 options you can have when your name is Seven. I don't even know their last name. Like,
They
is it
don't have
Seven?
last names. They don't have last names. It's just 7.
Yeah, that's wow, man.
Gonna be going by S.
Yeah.
S period.
Evan. Hey, Evan.
Yeah, I mean, if they keep this up, man, I think I've seen the caliber of chicks that Benny posts on his Instagram, and they are nowhere near on some Erykah Badu stuff. They are more Megan Thee Stallion type, which I'm fine with that. I mean, body wise, not height wise.
Okay. Just checking.
Megan 6'5".
I have
But no,
I have nightmares about her kicking me or something.
no body wise. So I don't think he has that Badu curse coming anytime soon. It's just the influences that are around them, and I hope they're able to decipher, what's good for us instead of what they think is good for us. So far, they've done a excellent job in deciphering what they want to do and how they want to do it, regardless of who it may offend. But I mean, they've done a spectacular job with that, and I hope it reflects in their music. I will continue to buy and support as long as they continue to make amazing products. I'm kind of that. With that said, I sound like an addict right now.
Well, I had one last question before we close the Griselda convo out. Is for the album culture, for the non-frisbee album throwing culture, Rashad, as you put it. Not that the albums that they release anymore are even on CD anymore. Like, each of them, what do you think their best album is? Like I think Tenor Talk 3 was brought up, and Bradford, actually, when you like woke me up to Griselda, I think that was one of the albums that you kind of noted I should be checking for. So, like, out of the 3, like, what do you hold up as like their best albums so far?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'll go. So with West Side, I think Fly God is an awesome God. Is his first project. It was him more rapping, less him, boasting. Although there's some boastful stuff in there.
Right.
Yeah, Fly God is an awesome guy. With Conway, I mean, man, there's like Eat What You Kill. Oh, there's a lot of work there. I think for me, and this is just me personally, I'll go with Devil Reject 2 because that's what put me onto them in the beginning. Like when I first heard that, I was like, yeah, those guys have it. With Benny, ugh, man, like Bradford said, you got My First Brick, you got Tanner Talk 3, you got this new project. I mean, Benny has some amazing stuff. But Tanner Talk 3 to me is extremely complete. Although there's no radio friendly songs, but out of the box from track 1 to end, the beat selection, the storytelling to me, which is so like you can literally close your eyes and you're there with him on almost every song. It is a flawless album to me. So with them, I'll go Tanner Talk 3.
Nice. What you think, Bradford?
Yeah, for me, it's really hard to beat Ten Talk 3. I mean, and thinking about the one song, I was asked by my nephew the other day, he was asking me what I was listening to. I was telling him, and I was like, you should either get a Conway or a Benny album and just like listen to it, see what you think, whatever. And he's like, well, what about a song? Give me a song. And I was like, hell no, I cannot give you. I'm not that type of person to pick out one song to represent one person anyway, especially when it's an artist that I like. So that's a roundabout way of saying I think, like, if you would have one almost radio worthy song off of that, maybe it's 97 Hove, but I feel like you can't have 97 Hove without going into the Joe Pesci track right after that. So I feel like it's kind of like two sides of the same coin almost. But man, yeah, I'm gonna have to say Tana Talk 3. I really do like My First Brick, but Tana Talk 3, it was like a really big solidifying moment for me. And then for Conway, was Look What I Became. I think it's really powerful. But the Eat What You Kill album is probably my favorite. Second would be From King to a God. Like I feel like I never pick brand new albums from people, but it's just so good, you guys. I just can't stop listening to it right now. And I'm kind of out on the West Side thing. I mean, like, because even the West Side album that really sticks out in my memory, which I think is the Hitler Wears Hermes 6. That album to me is all about that song, The Cow, which is all Conway. So that's why I can't, like, I don't really have a favorite West Side album. I don't know if that means I need to like just go back and listen more, but whenever I think of any of his albums, I'm thinking about one of the tracks that Benny's on his album, or one of the tracks that Kanye's on his album. And truth be told, I'm a little salty with West Side Gun right now because of that collab that he did and/or is trying to complete with MF Doom. Not a fan of the two singles that they put out. So anyway, just like the little boy inside of me is like really like disappointed right now, because that collab's not everything I wanted it to be. But that's the benefit of saying this stuff as a fan. Like, I'm just like feeding off of all the good work that they're putting out there, and consuming it at an alarming rate. So it's really the memorable stuff that sticks out in my mind, and that really sits with Benny and Conway.
Oh yeah, totally, man. That Spurs, like, they have the one song Bobby. It's on like Artist War, and it's on Pray for Paris, and it's on some other stuff that Westside puts out. That song is amazing. But then again, it's the verse that Conway drops on the Bobby song, and like the Hall of Nash they have on there.
Oh, man.
Conway is just, wow, that is amazing. And then even when the new Benny, I think, or the new Conway, the Spurs 3, when I think it's on it's on Conway's new From King to a God. It's all three of them rapping, and it is whew, those boys really get in. Like Conway and Benny going back to back is just, it's a nightmare. I mean, I've actually heard Conway is like, when I rhyme, I mean, I really want to be known as like the best person to do this. And
yeah, it's like you can tell he's like almost competing against himself sometimes. And he's so, like, he has a lot of self-referential rap in there too, where he's either making light of his Bell's palsy, or just the fact that he's wrapping circles around people and he can barely pronounce any of the words, right?
yeah.
I just like, I just love how they're just being themselves. Like they're not trying to be anything else. They're just being themselves. And like, it's what the buy-in is for me. Like that's what makes it authentic for me.
Totally.
Yeah, what I hear is that I have to do my homework because I only heard maybe a fraction of the albums that y'all are talking about. And we can make the Wu comparisons forever, but I feel like, arguably speaking, every Wu member has only one great album, if good, if that, not multiple. That's definitely an outlier for the Griselda fam. It feels like each of them have at least more than one solid
With
album.
the exception, we have Ghostface.
Oh yeah, exactly. Which brings it back to Bradford's point about, Ghost and West Side, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
And
Ghostface somehow, some way inked out. To me, he inked out at least 3
Yep.
amazing albums, 3 to 4. Like it is Ghostface is hands down. When he got in his booth and he wanted to do his thing, he did great. I mean, for Raekwon, it was that Cuban Links production, which was really Ghostface album.
Yeah.
Ghostface was like, yo, this is my album.
duets, yeah, hip hop
I'm
duets.
all over this. And then, I mean, Method Man is great with features. Like, he's perfect when he features on the album, but how many his rhymes are dated on Decal. Like you listen to it now, it's like
Yeah, it's a rough one. I mean, and I like Takal 2000, not the whole thing, but definitely parts of it. So to your point, Jason, I'm not sure, because even like I was, because I was trying to argue with you in my head when you said that, to be like, no, you're wrong because of these 2 albums by this one person. Because I was like, well, those 2 Master Killa albums, I really like both of those albums. So maybe, but it's not like 100% solid though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Method Man stuff, but yeah, the standalone Method Man stuff. I mean, Blackout's great, but that's him plus Redman, not just him,
Yeah, exactly. Does it hold up? I think the other thing I wanted to make, and I think we can maybe close out, is that with this movie, it being pushed, and then like Novak's calling it the belly curse, I call it the Rockefeller, like No Limit Films curse. I mean, hopefully they're not going to do this. They're too far into it, but hopefully they go down a Wu-Tang Saga blueprint where they actually could somehow like tell the story in some type of serialized fashion, like with that Showtime series, because I feel like an arc like that might be what Griselda needs to actually tell the grime story with heart, as opposed to just like a quick movie with Michael Rappaport in it, Who knows? We'll see.
When in doubt, get Michael Rappaport to do your movie. Yeah, I just, is it hopefully they're saying something with this movie, and it's not just making a movie for the sake of making a movie, or because you can, hey, let's make a movie, we have the money to do it. Hopefully it's more than that.
I hope. What I do hope now is that during the movie they do a Liberty Mutual commercial.
Get it out the way.
Like boom, 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 Liberty Mutual, yo, that would. I'm gonna type West Side tonight. Like, yo, I really think you should do a Liberty Mutual commercial. You have the voice for it in the ad libs, and I mean, it would just go over great.
Just have Conway doing his little laugh on there too, right?
Oh God.
I mean, it would be perfect. But yeah, man, I'm ready for the movie. I'm gonna watch it in my COVID theater, aka my couch. And yeah, man, I mean, I hope it goes great for those guys. I don't want it to be like Paper Soldiers or
What's that?
Or Paper Soldiers from Rockefeller Records.
That's what I said. What's that? With Kevin Hart?
Soldiers, yes. Paper Soldiers, State Property 1, State Property 2.
No, Get Down, Lay Down.
Get there and lay down. Streets is watching. I mean,
Streets and
no,
ropes.
I got the hookup. I got the hookup.
I got the hook. Oh, Master P. Ice Cream Man. I got the hook. Bout it. When you get a hip hop artist in front of that camera and you say you can do what you want, oh man, you get state property too, which was like, you shouldn't have done this.
Well, he got killed
Like
in the first.
you
He got
get
killed
what
in the first
you
one and
asked
came
for.
back.
Yeah, he did. And he had names like Guala Guala. And I was like,
Oh,
oh
God.
man. But I'm definitely on the lookout for that Liberty Mutual featuring Westside Gun. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
With the ostrich.
With the ostrich. He can put like his art, like, because he'll art it, it'll be artsy for real. Because he'll do the inside of the car, and it'd be like, whatever crazy type of car he has. He's really fond of some reason Corvettes. He's like, yo, I got the first Corvette. I call it the 49ers. And I'm like, word, okay, cool.
All right. Okay, cool.
And then I want the ostrich to come right out of there, and you're like, boom, boom.
Sticks his head in the car.
Yo, I'm gonna storyboard this whole commercial together. I'm gonna present it.
I'm telling you, it won't be that difficult once you get started.
Hey man, big bucks.
Real talk. So yeah, Novak, you want to close us all out?
All right, perfect. Yeah, this has been awesome conversation. I didn't realize, like Griselda, the similarities between Wu-Tang are awesome. I mean, just a beautiful thing there. I mean, we just hope that they keep going the right direction. They bring us more music. It is like all you can eat buffet with them. There's so much music that I feel like every time Rashad sends me a text message, there's a new Griselda album. And I got to the point I was like, which album is this? And I'm listening to all these different albums late at night. And I'm like, damn, I can't keep up with these guys. Because, I'm not in the car as much as I used to be, but if you're in the car a lot, you're like, if I had a 3-hour trip, I could probably get through the first 3 albums. And because you got to keep rewinding stuff. But yeah, these guys are good for hip hop. They're good for what a Wu kind of left off a little bit. These guys picked up that torch and they're running with it. I think the Wolves still got a lot more storytelling to do. I think Griselda's got a lot more storytelling to do. I wouldn't mind seeing a collaboration between the two camps. Wouldn't be bad. I'm not talking like just having a Raekwon feature. I want a Wu Griselda like whole album would be really nice. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be for the culture, but it'd be nice for hip hop. For the
Oh man,
it'd
yeah,
be nice for
dude.
hip
If
hop.
there was some sort of project with Jizza, forget about it. Forget about it.
Can I get a soup?
Oh man, which RZA though? Which RZA? We talking the man with the iron arms, the man,
Iron Fist,
the
yeah.
Iron Fist man. There's different RZAs, man. I mean, I want this Quentin Tarantino RZA is a different character. He's hard to work with. I hear he's not into music right now. He's into martial arts films. About him. So
Yeah.
he's the main. He's the main star. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for definitely coming on the pod. It's been awesome. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on we're on Stitcher right now. We're also on Spotify, and I'm looking to launch on a few other platforms. But yeah, this has been a great show. Thank everybody for coming out, and definitely till next time. This is HipPodHedz. We'll be back with a new exciting episode in a few weeks. All right, thanks everybody.
All right.